I cared more about awards. Wow. And awards are a representation of how peers and people that I would respect, that matter.
Hey, what's happening, man? Welcome to expediTIously. I'm your host, Tip T.I. Harris. Now, what we do here at expediTIously is we engage in discussions that can help push the culture, the community, and the generation forward. And we have those discussions with people who are worthy to the discussion. Now, our next guest today is an Oscar-winning producer and New York Times best-selling author. His films and television shows have been nominated for 43 Academy Awards and won 195 Emmys. Oh, shit. Okay, but who's counting? His work includes A Beautiful Mind, 24, Apollo 13, Splash, Arrested Development, Empire, 8 Mile, Friday Night Lights, American Gangster, which I was actually in.
Yes, you were.
Splash, Genius, among others. He is the author of the new release, Face to Face, The Art of Human Connection, and the New York Times bestseller, A Curious Mind, The Secret to a Bigger Life. He was named one of Time magazine's most influential people in the world and is the co-founder of Imagine Entertainment along with his longtime partner, Ron Howard. I guess that if that illustrious introduction didn't key you in, I'm talking about Brian Grazer. Welcome to expediTIously, sir. Thank you for coming.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure. You have quite the impressive resume. What made you know that directing was the right move for you?
For producing mostly, yeah.
So please explain how you got into producing rather than directing.
Sure, of course, yeah. Actually, that's a second question, but it's a really good question because I had many opportunities to direct, but I just felt like directing you have to focus singularly on one narrative. Right. And I just watched so many great filmmakers and in order to be great, you have to spend a lot of time thinking of like, should that lamp be over here? Should it be over there? Staging, all the different details that didn't really interest me. So what really interests me is story and prospecting new worlds. Right. So I started I just sort of accidented into getting a job at Warner Brothers as a clerk. Okay. And
what made you go to Warner Brothers?
Only because I overheard, I was living in this apartment in Santa Monica, and I overheard these three guys saying, "Oh, wow, I just left the easiest job." And one guy said, "How easy?" He goes, "It was so cushy." And I thought, what a word,
That's
cushy.
Me. What? That's for me. That's what that was the first thing you thought of. Yeah. Warner Brothers it is.
It's for me, yeah. Yeah. So I made a call, got the job that day because one of the guys just quit. Okay. That was the point of that
Serendipity.
Serendipity, got this job. And I worked in a little office like this big, and then I was asked to deliver papers like a week later, and I delivered them to Warren Beatty. Oh. And so I was handing the papers to his assistant, and the assistant said, "Give me the papers." And I realized at that moment, I don't have to give him the papers. I can say, I was only 22, I said, "Oh, the papers are invalid unless I hand them directly to Mr. Beatty himself." Oh. And the guy said, like, a version of, like, "Fuck you, give me the fucking papers." And I thought...
That was a slick cap you put in. It was a slick cap you threw together right quick.
I just flew it together. And I said, no, the papers... I can take them right back to Warner Brothers unless I hand them directly to Mr. Beatty. So the guy thought, okay, I'll let you in. So as I handed him the papers, I created a conversation, like gamed him, I guess, at 22, and it turned into an hour-long conversation, which I learned so much in this 1 hour that I thought, I'm going to do this every time, every day. Okay. And so I did that for 18 months till they finally fired me.
So basically you just found a way to politic yourself into the rooms where people had the information you needed to further you along in your journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is extremely important.
Yes.
To identify who those people are and what information they have that you need to progress.
Yes. And Right, exactly that. But
that's the skill right there.
That's the skill.
The other stuff is just stuff them the bells and the whistles. The real skill is identifying who are the people that can help me and what do I need from them and how can I apply it.
And how can I be smart when I get that conversation with them?
Absolutely.
So when I'm able to like locate them, navigate my way through this like sort of opaque world of Hollywood.
Okay.
And I'd find those people that I was, as you said, just targeting or zeroing in on because they were actually getting something done.
And you had to deliver the mail.
And I delivered the mail.
That was really ballsy of you to
exactly.
have that conversation with Warren Beatty. He was the biggest movie star in the world at that time, right?
He was,
Didn't have any. Were you nervous? Or?
As Brian shared, illustrious manager speaking. Brian Sher has been my manager, partner, brother, and friend for 15 years now.
Wow.
Something like that. For as long as I've been an actor, I'll say. And actually, that's how I found myself in your company so often.
Yes.
I remember you came to me and you always said you wanted to do a biopic, a T.I. And I said I never was quite like we could never work through exactly the schematics of how to make that happen. But you were successful in 8 Mile and Get Rich or Die Trying. How did you get Eminem to act?
Oh, wow. What a good question.
I know Marshall, man. How in the hell did you get M to act? And do a damn good job for his first time.
Yeah. I didn't really. I think I got into a conversation where he found himself so engaged in the story that he felt ownership in that story.
Okay.
So it wasn't that I even was smart enough to go like, hey, you should act. I found that I'm good at picking people that will have screen impact.
Okay.
Like you.
Appreciate
by the way.
it.
Oh, absolutely, which we should talk about. But with Eminem, I saw him for a fleeting moment on television on the VMAs, and I thought, wow, that guy is very I'm curious about him.
Right.
So being impactful creates a lot of things. It translates to a lot of things.
Sure.
So it got my attention, and I was curious about what is he thinking about, who is he, and there was a mystery that sort of became unlocked when I met with him.
Right.
And then I did ask him to act in this movie.
Eventually.
And he said, no, version of like, I've never acted in a movie. I've never even acted. I've done videos. That's about it. And I just said, I know you can do this. I just believed he could do it. And so I just said my truth. I just said, I know you can do it even though you've never acted before. And
he went for that one.
He went for it because he's really talented.
The smartest thing he ever did.
It was. I think when he's talented, courageous, and perfectionistic.
Yeah.
So once he's decided, I think I could do it, he started applying that competitive, perfectionistic side of himself, and that's what blew up.
Well, it was a phenomenal job. And also another one of my favorite films, Boomerang.
Oh, thanks.
Now, Reggie Hudlin directed Boomerang, correct?
Yes.
And it starred the likes of Eddie Murphy, Halle Berry, Martin Lawrence, David Allen Greer, the late great John Witherspoon. Yeah. Did you know that you were creating a moment in history that you were? Were you aware?
No, not even close.
What?
Wow. No. I never know that, actually. I just know if I really like something. If I really... Well, first of all, Eddie's career was at a lower point in his career, but I just believed in his talent so much, and I liked him so much personally.
But it was after Beverly Hills Cop, though, right?
Yeah, but he was kind of trapped at Paramount, where they wanted them. He did Beverly Hills Cop, but they wanted him to do what they told him to do. And no artist likes to be told what to do. Right.
That's the best way to get us not to do it.
And yeah, exactly. And he and I related to each other when we met. I met him when I went and saw him perform doing Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I also knew Richard Pryor much earlier, and I think that might have had some influence that Richard Pryor and I don't know, but he trusted me, and I just was willing to give myself to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Boomerang was one of the most influential art pieces of our culture.
Wow.
For that generation.
Why?
It was like, what, 92?
Exactly.
Yeah. It was just, it was a formidable time. You know what I mean? There were a lot of stories, a lot of voices, a lot of cultural impact that refused to be ignored, like right at that moment. In a lot of different spaces, whether it was fashion, film, television, music, all kinds of, just different art forms were they were refusing to be ignored.
Yeah. What it's a little dangerous of me to say, but you can nicely correct me if I'm wrong. But I think what we did was we consciously put black people in an affluent environment. And movies that preceded that were always like, let's put the black person in hard times. Let's do all that. And Eddie and I sort of said, look, we're going to put them in we're going to put the population of people and characters in an affluent, kind of glamorous, and sometimes super fabulous environment.
Right.
And that was, I think, was really kind of mind expanding. And by the way, it helped me make the TV series Empire, because I thought no network wanted Empire either. But I thought, wow, if you create a power structure like we did in Empire, and you allow them, the characters to really be big and win at things and be affluent once again, but earn it. I think audiences loved earned success.
Right.
Not just transported success, but earned success.
Yeah.
So in kind of both cases, Boomerang and this TV series we did, that's what that's why I think it helped make it work.
Man, I think, I think that definitely has a hand in it. So I read that as a kid you felt that you were destined to become no one.
Oh, my God. Did it say that?
Yeah, it said that. That's what you said. You said that.
Yeah, some version of that.
But, I mean...
Well, I was acutely dyslexic.
Yeah, well, it says that you felt that you were labeled stupid because of your dyslexia.
Correct.
And you went on also to say that you felt you weren't supposed to be successful.
I don't know about that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Listen, I think very highly of myself, but there are some times, man, when we are within dark moments, and when we travel back to those places, if we're honest with ourselves about how we felt, not feeling like this is not the key. Yeah. Feeling like this, overcoming this feeling, pushing through it to the other side to see that you were out your fucking mind. Now that's the key. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is.
So I could respect that.
I just looked at a report card every semester and it's straight F. So I thought this is not getting me anywhere. and they're always recommending, teachers always recommend my parents that they put me back a semester and stuff. But there was an ingredient inside of me, possibly like you, where I thought, even though all of the empirical evidence was pointed against me, I knew I had this ingredient that made me special.
It was just something. It just
something. I knew I was different than other people in a way that I thought was cool.
So what made you go from overcoming those challenges of dyslexia to recognizing that you were a passionate storyteller?
Well, that's much later in life, the passionate storyteller. That's right when I graduated college.
Okay. So you straight Fs, dyslexia, still graduated college.
Well, because I got better at I didn't get all straight F's all the way through.
I mean,
There was
what I'm saying
yeah.
is, but there are progressive steps that you
Yes.
took to correct yourself.
Yes, I did.
and to strengthen your weaknesses to succeed.
Yeah.
So you didn't just say, okay, well, I got dyslexia, fuck it.
No. It's so fun. That's a great way. Yeah.
A lot of
No,
people,
I didn't do that.
A lot of people use learning disorders as an excuse not to learn.
Wow. No, I do know people that do that.
Yeah,
You're right. Yeah, you're right on top of it. I agree with that.
I mean, but I think that's...
I never thought that. I just thought I'm going to push through this. I'm a dreamer.
Right.
And dreams, I can actualize these dreams. I was always good at evangelizing stories or dreams.
Right.
So I didn't know that they would have a currency, however.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got fired from this law clerk job,
Okay.
I thought, what am I going to do?
But what did you major in when you went to college?
Psychology.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very unrelated. I didn't know I didn't have any knowledge or interest in the entertainment business.
Okay.
Unrelated, but not totally unrelated. Because you deal with so many egos and...
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, I didn't. Unrelated in terms of a correlation between psychology as a major and cinema as a major.
Right.
Got
But psychology, as we all know, is the most central ingredient that has value in our business because you're constantly trying to understand other people.
Right. I mean, okay, let's. So you're very successful. I'm talking immensely, and you're successful at executing different versions of the same strength consistently.
Okay.
Over decades.
Okay.
Okay, so for a person with that high level of skill set and that high level of a success rate, I would like to know what defines success for you.
What defines success? Well, there's basic metrics
Okay.
that matter to me.
Okay.
Like if it's a movie or television, if it's a movie, I want it to make money.
Absolutely.
Because that supports that it's successful.
That's just how you keep score.
That's how you keep score. And then I do care, maybe even more, I care about what my peers or critics think of the thing I did.
Wow, I didn't imagine that.
Yeah, I had an argument with...
I don't give a fuck at all.
Really?
I really don't.
That's cool. Well, you've had tremendous success without giving a fuck.
I mean, that's interesting, and I think that it's quite noble of you to consider your peers and constituents so much that you actually honor and value their opinion.
I do.
I think that's great.
Do you? Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's great.
You
Thanks.
said you're having an argument with somebody?
No, I've had arguments with people that have run networks. I don't want to say their names. I go in front of a lot of people. I once had an argument with the chairman of a network. And I said, do you care more about money or awards? He goes, just money. And I always cared, weirdly, more. I cared more about awards. Wow. And awards are a representation of how peers and people that I would respect, that matter. Because awards are sort of an index of... Yeah.
Well, funny you should mention that because
Okay.
I think that, like in the world that you have dominated, which is the world of entertainment, cinema, film, television.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix has gone on record saying that there's an incredible lack of diversity. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you think the industry needs to progress? Like, how does the industry need to progress to maintain relevancy with the times?
In terms of diversity or in
Well,
terms
no,
of...
I mean, well, see, this is the thing, right? Okay, so you said your peers...
Or originality.
Well, but see, it has to be received by someone who can relate to the originality.
Yeah. Yeah.
For instance, let's just say the Oscars or the Academy Awards or whatnot. Okay, if you have a board of directors that are completely oblivious to the culture in which this story speaks from, you can't adequately judge it or estimate its value because you aren't really aware of the culture it comes from. So that gives the artist a place where I'm not really being judged by my peers for real. How do you think we can progress to kind of close in that gap?
You mean between the establishment and the peers?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that's a really good and hard question.
No, I mean, I think as a juggernaut and a visionary in the industry, you've been able to, ascertain solutions for dozens of challenges and adversities.
Yeah.
If it's going to be fixed, it has to be fixed from the inside by people who are sincere and empathetic to the need. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that may be the likes of a one young Brian Grazer, which is why it's important for me to see just how you feel about it.
Okay, so I try to. This is a hard question to answer, but. Because everything has a specific, but I try to pick subjects that are original.
Sure.
I try to pick subjects that are hard rather than soft.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to pick. I definitely never wanted to go down doing corny stuff.
Absolutely.
Because doing corny stuff shortens your career lifespan by, almost immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
screeching halt.
So yeah. So you always have to have edge, but you know this only too well. See, our actual career, our personal career can go like this. It will go like this. No, there's no person that is so successful that their career trajectory goes straight up, meaning their story.
Right.
But they as a person have to keep evolving.
Right.
And that's what makes them cool, because we know directors or great artists that haven't made a movie in 3 years, but you go, that dude is still cool.
Right.
So that's who I want to be.
Well, see, now you as a content producer, provider, a content creator, you have been exceptional at, trying at least visibly maintaining high levels of diversity within the stories you tell and the people you work with. I'm talking about the establishment, the system. Is the system broken?
The system broken,
Can the system really adequately estimate the value of the stories that come from a culture that the system may not be familiar with?
No, they can't accurately. They can't.
Good answer, Brian. Good answer. So
they do 50% of the time, right?
Yeah.
So you might go like Parasite's cool and progressive or new,
right.
But then there might have been other movies in that category, and I'm not saying specifically, where you go, well, that movie just kind of, I don't know how that got in there. That's super corny,
right?
And that might be a product of the sort of commercial industrialization of the establishment, where. Which would be like a cookie cutter kind of a movie or TV show.
Right.
And hopefully guys like you and me go, we know the difference.
Well, so, an example, right?
Yes.
Spike Lee just won his first Academy Award. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
With all of the phenomenal, groundbreaking work he's done as a storyteller.
Script.
Yeah. So how could it take
Black Klansman,
the system
so long to catch up with it?
To understand that this is relevant to the culture it speaks for.
Wow. Okay. That's deep. Okay. That is deep.
Not really though.
No, it is. It's deep. In that case, probably no. This is I'll get myself in trouble. But
no, you won't.
Okay.
I'll absorb it.
Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. Good. Well, for the establishment, the main establishment that gives awards out, unfortunately, they judge all of the variables, even things that are not related to the work itself. They might go, Spike Lee's always, and I just want to say, because I love Spike Lee, because I had a great relationship with him.
Right.
Where I made the movie Inside Man with Denzel.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal film.
One of my favorite movies ever.
And he made a deal with me at the door where he said, Brian, I want to make this movie. He pulled this script out from behind his back because I was and he said, why you guys?
That's my style.
Yeah, he pulled it out behind his back as I was walking to the elevator, and he goes, this is your project, and I want to direct it, and I'm going to make it into a great movie and a great work experience for you. And he looked me right in the eyes, and I'd known him 10 years. And his eyes, connecting to my eyes, had such depth that I thought, and sincerity, that I thought, I'll do it. And I even had another director on it, but I let the other director go because I felt the power and the sincerity of this man. Right. And I always knew he had the talent. Because Do the Right Thing was so awesome. Man, it was so groundbreaking.
So many, Malcolm X and...
so many.
You know, School Days and...
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Mo Better Blues was a good one.
Yeah. So I just felt like I'm going to trust this moment.
Wow.
What else can I trust? I'm going to trust this moment, and I'm going to change my life and his.
That's intuition.
Yeah, that was.
And I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So
what I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think he's been he's been penalized.
Good word.
For being authentic.
In his journey, he has been. His art hasn't been judged in a pure way. And so finally, after so many punches by the man, they finally said, all right, let's let him up and give him an award.
Man, I cannot believe you just answered that honestly. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
I mean, I think that's exactly how we see it. We just didn't. Yeah. We've never got fair and decent people to admit to it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's really true about Spike, for sure.
I mean, not even just Spike. Like certain people, every now and again, you know what I mean? You get it right, you know. But I think overall, more diversity within the system, I think, would lead to more fair practices.
I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Okay, please.
I'm trying to say it in a way where you can't. I have a show.
Okay.
And the show, it's a TV show, and it's an all black cast.
Okay.
It's a half-hour show.
All right. Single cam, multi-cam.
Not gonna say. I can't say.
Okay.
Only because it's so right now. This moment, I'm really angry about this.
Okay.
And I found out over this weekend that it tested really high, like as high as it could be tested.
Okay.
And all the executives are white. So it did not get picked up. And now I'm aware of, I'm not black. It's so clear I'm not black.
You're not.
But I've had to have many of these conversations for the last 30 years of my career where studios will say, we're picking up the show, da-da-da, or we're picking up the movie, we're going, and then they go international, it's not going to work. And so there's still, if there were diversity within the executives, it would be a better situation.
Right.
But when the sixth person down from the top is black, it's got to be better than that.
Right, right.
He or she has got to be the third person or the first person or something, or just it has to be integrated.
Every company in every corporation would benefit from young people and black people, not necessarily the same person, to be in the room with them and kind of shed light on, that shit ain't gonna work, bro. I'm gonna tell you why that's offensive.
Shit, exactly.
And borderline, you know,
it's just kind of like, I had this conversation, same thing, you just turned me on to this, with somebody that's really smart, but he's older.
Okay.
And I said, I know what you think. You think, because I bring this up to you all the time, like get a younger person to work with you or for
right.
That you think that I think younger is better. And I'm not telling you younger is better. I'm just telling you younger is different.
Man, younger is necessary.
It's necessary.
Because,
very good.
You know, I think for one, if you're producing entertainment, young people have more time to consume entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As we get older, we develop more responsibilities and, just things that we're mandated to take care of. And it doesn't allow us the opportunity to listen to as much music, watch as many movies, and go to as many plays as we might have when we were teenagers and in our early 20s. So they are spending the most amount of time not just cultivating and creating this content, but also consuming it and finding it. I think young people, that's how I found Travis Scott. Just young kids on the internet.
I didn't know that.
Just directing their attention to a certain place, and those same young kids, man, they have been the gasoline in his machine. You know what I mean? And that motherfucker run without a hitch. You know what I'm saying? He can move. He can move droves of young, wild, reckless people, and I think it benefits his bottom line.
Yeah, for sure.
I think every company has an opportunity to benefit from the minds of young people and just the culture of black people, because now I think it's a melting pot. The USA is a melting pot. Mm-hmm. Okay, so all these cultures are coming together, and now since the internet has been created and you have social media, now we become aware of all these other cultures. You might live next door to a Vietnamese person, but you wouldn't really have an opportunity to speak to them about their culture and know about their life until Facebook. Well, now I don't have to speak to them in the hallway. I could just, this is where they're from. This is what they do. Okay. And now you automatically have, I guess, an ability to relate or some formal knowledge of how this person lives that's much different from how you live.
Yes.
And that gives you a sense of respect for those people. And that brings us together.
Yes, definitely.
I believe. But since you had so much success in movies, what makes a movie great?
Challenging a really hard subject and doing it exceptionally.
Great answer.
Yeah. What's the most tell me the most the one that jumps out to you firsthand when you think about doing just what you said. Like what film do you think?
Well, when you asked me that question, I thought of the movie Dunkirk, the Chris Nolan director.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had lunch with him before he even made the movie. I said, "What are you doing next?" And because I really wanted to understand Batman, why he made that, and who. So
which Batman?
Well, the one that he did actually.
I don't remember.
So.
Yeah, I forgot.
All three, the first three.
Chris Nolan
No.
Who played Batman in the one he did? I could look it up.
Well, it was more about it was the Joker. It was
Christian Bale.
Young
people.
Got you.
Young people. Thank you.
See,
there
fresh minds.
Well, I hope you edit this so we look smart. Let's look smart on this one.
We'll do all right.
But anyway,
smart thing is recognizing that you don't know, so you can find the right
perfect.
answer.
There you go. Good. Anyway, so I thought. So I should have cut right to the chase. Was he tells me I'm doing a movie called Dunkirk? I said, "What is Dunkirk?" He said, "Well, it's a war that was fought, a battle that was fought that everybody in Western Europe knows, but I didn't know what it was." So I thought, okay, he's doing a subject that I don't really know anything about. Mm-hmm. Now the movie comes out, and it blows my mind because I didn't know, I had no familiarity with that particular battle.
Right.
But yet it was completely captivating, and it was completely captivating because he created a sonic and cinematic world that was so different than I'd seen or heard before. And so that blew my mind because it's very hard to get exposed to new subjects. Mm-hmm. And then now you're exposed to a new world and a new subject, and he's creating mind-expanding rules, cinematic and sonic rules, in a universe that was very special. So I thought that was quite inventive. And the music was Hans Zimmer's score was spectacular. It was like a sound that I'd never heard.
And you knew all of this from conception, from him saying, what he was going to do next?
No, I knew none of that. All I knew was that he was doing a movie on called Dunkirk, and he said, you'll hear about it, and he told me a little bit about it, but I didn't want to make him tell me the whole movie's making a lunch, because that could be kind of homework exhausting for him. I'm trying to leave a good impression.
Right.
So basically I didn't know that much about the subject. I didn't learn on any of that until I actually experienced the movie. But I even recently just liked 1917, that movie.
Okay.
Also because it involved me in a really kind of emotionally palpable way immediately.
Okay.
And I didn't expect that it would.
Right. Why not?
Well, because I just wouldn't see a movie called 1917.
Bad title.
I like modern stuff.
Okay.
So it wasn't something I would go see, but when I did, it, again, kind of blew me away in terms of the filmmaking itself.
Right.
It's funny, by your definition of a good movie, when you just said a challenging subject, and I'm not pandering to you, Brian, and even if you weren't here and you said that, I would think A Beautiful Mind came to my mind in 1 second.
You.
Without, not even because you're sitting here, really. So,
thank you.
And I'm surprised that you didn't say that. I mean,
well, I don't want to say my own movie, but I don't mind you. I like that you did.
It's, no, I mean...
Well, listen.
Okay.
How about, right?
Yes.
American Gangster.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sought out the story, the life story of one young Frank Lucas, who is now the dearly departed. He's no longer with us, and God rest his soul.
Yes.
But what made you do that film, and what made you recognize him to celebrate this story or to tell this story? Because it's, again, truly significant and impactful to the culture.
Okay. Well, to me, that story was less about a guy. It was less about being a drug dealer, being a heroin importer.
Okay.
It was more about a man that was deeply in need and in deep pursuit of respect.
Yes.
And to me, that was the same, it was the same kind of force that made me want to make Apollo 13 that starred Tom Hanks.
Right.
It's about emotional and psychological survival.
Mm-hmm.
Like Frank Lucas couldn't survive another day by being punked and bitched out by guys that were bigger than him in that community. You could have said that better than I, by the way.
Well, I think...
But I just felt like men need self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think it's so central for, I'm sure men and women, but I know men better than women, but men... it's like wars are fought over disrespect.
Absolutely.
And I just think that self-respect, human self-respect, is really central to a man's being.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt hopeless, Frank Lucas. So he was gigantically resourceful.
Mm-hmm.
A semi-literate black man from North Carolina decides he's going to go to Southeast Asia and trench up the Mekong Delta to a place that's completely foreign to him to ultimately get self-respect.
Well, I can understand that.
That was my interpretation.
I can understand that. I think that, the Frank Lucas story is, to me, a man who came from nothing and, migrated from the South up to, a land of prosperity, found out same thing you do, identify who are the people who can help me, how can I get to them, how can I take what information do I need, and how can I use this information to move myself forward. In a world, and he did it with such confidence in a world that, would have loved nothing more than to ignore him. Now, of course,
that's right.
Along the journey, decisions were made that, probably either of us wouldn't have made them. You
Correct.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I can't agree with everything, but I'm saying just speaking on just where his life could have been had he settled for it.
Yeah.
And where he directed it to go. You know what I'm saying? In spite of the circumstances.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, you know what I'm saying, I think that's a story worth telling. And the thing is, not many people in your position who look like you understand the relevance of such a story.
Oh, thanks.
I'm trying to get to the root of how it is you can just go anywhere in any culture and find the story.
Like, what was the moment
Thank
that
you.
You said Spike Lee gave you that script and you knew that was the moment. What was your moment to go, oh my God, I'm going to tell this story?
From A Beautiful Mind to Boomerang to Inside Man to, you know, to American Gangster. All of the, you've and Dunkirk, you've gone into different labyrinths, if you will, and pulled out the significant piece of a story that you feel should be showcased.
Okay. Well, because I'm deeply obsessed with human capacity. And so when people exceed what they think their human capacity is, they exceed it.
Okay.
That interests me.
Okay.
And so when it's a unique world and there's a person that's at the center of that unique world, a character,
right,
that is, then I'm interested in it.
Well, I'm happy you became interested, especially in American Gangster, because you actually hired me for that.
Well, I did, but what made me, of all the people,
what made you consider me?
Okay, first of all, you were a huge star.
Well, still am.
You are,
So
but
I'm just joking.
But the movie was then, so I'm just saying, you still are for sure. No.
Just joking.
Yeah, of course. And then, but you were top of mind because. Okay, so by you being in our movie, what made me interested is you're a huge star, and you're authentic. With authenticity, movies need as much authenticity. Every story needs validators to create more and more authenticity for that story.
Right.
So by having you in the story and a few others in that story and Denzel in that story,
sure,
it feels like real, you know? And things that feel real have the greatest impact on readers or audiences, human audiences.
Right.
So why I was interested in you was, again, I liked your music a lot. My kids liked your music a lot.
That'll help you.
And then I was very, very blown away that you were willing to shut your very lucrative music career down for, I think, at least 6 weeks to be in this role. I thought, well, that's a huge sacrifice. So any person with that much talent and willing to make that kind of sacrifice, the karma is going to go in my direction.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you for doing so, man. It was one of the best experiences, the greatest experiences. I probably learned more on that set than I have anywhere else, working with Russell Crowe and Denzel and Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Even Common and Chiwetel, RZA. It was just a phenomenal cast, you know what I'm saying, that was very well put together, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Oh, thanks.
I remember sitting here, just really quick, because I was when we had the meeting with you in your office.
Oh my God, you remember that?
Yeah, of course I do.
Oh, okay.
On Beverly and Wilshire.
Yeah.
Old office.
Yes.
I remember we had this meeting, and you had your conversation. I was there, and you picked up the phone, and you called Ridley Scott. You actually picked up the phone and said, I want you to meet somebody. And we went and met with him, shortly after.
Really?
It was either that day or the next day, but you literally on the spot.
I love that. I forgot that.
And you just, I want to say two other things if I could real quick. Number one, when people talk about Tip, and we've worked together a long time in the film and TV space, people talk about American Gangster more than anything you've ever been a part of as far as
one
film
of my
and television.
favorite movies
People go,
that I've ever made.
It was very well. It was
even
very,
now,
very
years
well
later,
put together.
with other.
It holds up.
And number two, you talk about that. You remember the summer? You did have a big tour that summer, and I remember getting a call from Leor Cohen Remember?
I remember this too, by the way.
Yep, he called me with.
I do.
He called me with Craig Kelman and Julie. They all called me and they said they used a lot of bad language.
Yeah.
And they were really fucking pissed that he was going to go take this small role for 6 weeks in the summer, in hot summer New York, and forfeit a multi-million-dollar tour that they were planning. And I remember they all called me, 4 of them together, and I said, you know what I said to Leor? I said, Mr. Cohen, respectfully, speak to Tip. Because speak to Tip, you're yelling at the wrong person. If he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't have to do it. But but he told me he wants to do this, so I've acted accordingly on his behalf, which is my job.
Yeah, I think
Ridley and I were nervous. We were scared that there was so much pressure on you because I didn't know you really. I thought there was so much pressure that you might you'd quit.
Well,
I did. I thought maybe this guy. I didn't want you to, but I was scared that could be possible.
Well, I mean, initially I say I wasn't a lot of pressure, but now thinking back, there actually was a lot of weight that went with the decision and just preparing for the role. I remember hours upon hours of pitching practice. And we never used the clip of me pitching.
You never threw it once.
Not once. I
remember this.
Listen,
weeks of pitching.
Weeks, hours and hours on end of learning how to pitch, only to not pitch. But that doesn't matter because it was still the story flowed seamlessly.
Yes.
Do you know how many movies you made?
Do you?
No.
I don't. I think I made 90, maybe almost 100 movies I've been involved.
Okay, 100 movies, and you have 195 Emmys.
Yeah.
195?
That's TV shows and stuff.
Yeah, no, but
exactly.
still, 195.
Well, I've made... Well, I've made...
Does the shit get old at a certain point?
No. I mean,
it's like, man, another Emmy, man. Put it up. I need another wall.
No, and also it's.
Where do you keep 195?
Well, Emmys? I don't get 195.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay.
But I would get the Emmy for the best series. So I did a limited series called From Earth to the Moon. So I won for best limited series. Then for half-hour comedy, Arrested Development. Then a drama for 24, and I think we got something for Empire. So, but then all the other people are getting Emmys too. So that's how it kind of aggregates.
So they're just counting all of the collective Emmys that came up under the titles, the IPs that
all the
produced.
Things that I worked on. All the things that I've made.
Oh, then you've done nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the way.
Why are we celebrating this guy? Let's bring somebody else in.
But that's how they add them all up. How people do it.
Well, I mean, I think that you had your work cut out for yourself.
Well, I try to do,
and you even you talk about how you met ODB.
Yes.
And it what did that turn into?
Did you meet him? Do you know? No, you two.
I met him once in passing.
Yeah,
I have met him once.
What did it turn into? It turned into me like. It was like an eye-opening experience of like going, wow, this is hip-hop, I guess, right?
I guess.
Well, it was just so wild. The guy was, he was the Wu-Tang Clan. I loved his voice. I liked the sound. But more, he was just so rowdy, so unpredictable and authentic that I thought, this is a guy that's defining the tone of what hip-hop is from the East Coast perspective.
Right. So
because I knew very little about it.
But that introduction planted the seed for Wu-Tang American Saga.
Yes.
How did you hold on to that idea from the time you met him all the way up to
25 years later?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how did you keep that idea nurtured and cultivated? To the point of, from conception to release.
Well, from what I learned about my one experience with ODB, I thought I got to go on a kind of a learning journey and learn about what is this all about. So
why Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with?
Well, I went from the Wu-Tang Clan to Chuck D.
Okay.
Because
Public Enemy.
Everybody
that's a
likes
hell of a story.
It's a good story.
That's a hell of a story.
And they have like these deep kind of political anthems, and that was another expression of like how hip hop was working in that time. And then I eventually quickly met someone, Slick Rick, and I thought,
oh yeah,
well, that's a funny guy, so
legend.
it's fun. So it's funny too, like I'm realizing.
This hip hop thing is something else. You guys should check it out here.
Yeah, so there's danger, and then there's funny. There's a funny version of it.
Right.
So
Slick Rick, who went to prison for murder, I think, but he's a charismatic. I'm talking a wonderful.
He's a
person.
funny guy. Yeah,
with the laughs. Yeah. Nah, man, but now most people who are willing to make you laugh, are willing to get your ass off of this earth. You know what I'm saying? Because they find light in everything, so the dark moments are extremely dark.
Oh yeah, just kind of like Goodfellas with the.
Funny how.
Yeah, funny how. They're very good, very good. But I never thought of that. That's a good thing to think about.
What's that?
Any guy that's sort of doing that funny guy thing can flip that fast and go the other direction.
In the drop of a hat.
Mr. T.I.
You could have wrote a book about anything.
Yes.
Why about human connection?
Because I think it's for me, when you talk about success, because we talked about so many things, success is human connection. When one person connects with another person. And it's it's becoming one of the rarest commodities, real human connection.
Right.
Where we each believe that what each one of us is saying matters.
Right.
And that you matter, and that I matter, and that that life is long and we'll know each other a long time.
Right.
Those things mean a lot to me. My friendship metrics matter as much as my success metrics.
Got you.
So I have a lot of guy friends most of them are like at least 25 years of friendship.
That's dope.
Like, at least 10 guys.
Relationships are commodities. They are definitely your ability to maintain, nurture, and just keep solid relationships.
And it tests
intact.
your character too.
Yes, it does.
It does. It makes you think, and it tests your character. I never wanted. I want people that are at least, kind of as successful as I am.
Right.
Often more successful. It's because I find it more challenging and stimulating, or just different success even.
Right.
But I don't want any pushover friends.
Gotcha.
It doesn't make me feel good.
Did you feel like that's a lost art? Is that why you decided to put pen to paper on it?
I did, and I also thought just basically nothing happens without human connection. In other words,
that makes sense.
I could never raise $100 million to pay for a movie unless I could have human connection with the person that I'm trying to get the $100 million from.
Sure.
And they have to feel your heart. People don't really. You're not moved by people's minds. You're moved by their hearts. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I think,
you're a musician. That's what you've done.
Energy.
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 Good.
It could come from the heart. It could come from the mind sometimes. It can come from actions and deeds.
Yeah.
But it's all, energy.
Yeah.
That you connect.
I think that's right.
To some forms of energy.
Yes.
And you repel other forms of energy. So I think that, putting out the kind of energy other people can relate to, it assists you in your efforts in any task.
Yes.
I love the book. It's such a lost art of sitting and just even not sitting here and seeing each other is nicer than if this were a phone call, right? It'd be a phone call and then there's no lasting impact.
And I just feel like the story began, if I'm going to see T.I., the story began when I saw you come through the door.
Right.
If I were if you walked in and I was on my phone, I don't think you'd like it as much as me going T.I.
It doesn't seem very, very dramatic or even like worthy storytelling to say I was looking down at my phone and I looked up, oh, there's T.I. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem. I don't see that in a scene.
It doesn't seem worthy storytelling. You agree? I agree.
Yeah. But why? Like, why this topic and why now? What was the moment that made you say, you know what? Human connection.
Because I noticed that human connection was becoming more and more rare. And I noticed that even though we have the ability to connect to each other much more than we ever did any time ever in the world, either through Facebook, any kind of Instagrams, any social media, Snap, any of those systems.
Right.
We can connect that fast to anybody all over the world, but we're not really reaching them. We're not there. We're not friends. We don't know each other. We don't see each other. It's not an emotional experience.
Right.
And so it's the times, the emotional experiences that have impact that matter.
And do you think social media is a big part of that, the erosion of what you're talking about, or just people's attention spans? Or?
I think it creates, I think it's just part of creating digital realities that aren't real. And what's real is this. What's real is when you were at South by Southwest and I liked your sweatshirt and you gave it to me.
Yeah, well, a friend in need.
That really happened?
Yeah, that really happened. South by Southwest. What was that, like 2015, 14, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, very good, yeah.
He
was performing. I didn't know he was, but I walked in there, he was performing. And he had this white hip sweatshirt on. And he goes, walk back here, come back here. And we came back. We watched from the side the whole thing. And then I liked the sweatshirt enough, he just said, take it.
So He's done that with me, by the way. I really like that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 1,000 of them.
Okay.
If you like it, you should have it.
Still, not everyone's like that.
So we're also working together again on the Aretha project.
Yeah.
Could you expound on that a little bit for the people?
Okay, so I produce a television series that's titled Genius.
Gotcha.
And so we go through a very rigorous kind of system, give and take system, picking who those geniuses would be, the ones that are unchallengeable. So, of course, the first one was Albert Einstein.
Gotcha.
With Jeffrey Rush, and I think we got 10 or 11 Emmy nominations.
Man.
There you go. Back
More
to the
Emmys.
Emmys.
Perfect.
More Emmys.
Just what we need. Just what we didn't have enough of.
Yeah.
Emmys.
Nominations.
Oh, great.
3,000 nominations.
That's right. So
200
there you
wins.
go. So then we did 10 hours of Albert Einstein, and now then we did Picasso, and now we're doing Aretha Franklin. And I just felt like Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, was extremely worthy story. She's extremely worthy subject, and she intersects. She's the point of intersection for a lot of stuff that was going on in our country at that time.
Right.
Civil rights, Martin Luther King, many other different things that are quite significant.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Being in it, you're in it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think that it's going to be a great time and I think a magnanimous story.
Yeah, we're shooting in your city.
Yeah.
I think that's your city.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Unequivocally. Listen, do you think that the tax credits in Georgia changed the film industry?
Yes.
How so?
Well, it just caused. Well, Hollywood is always excited about making movies or television shows for less money.
Yeah.
That's the game. So by changing the tax credit incentive, there are more television shows or movies being shot there than ever before.
Right.
In fact, I just made a movie, Hillbilly Elegy.
Okay.
Which is J.D. Vance's book that Ron Howard directed, but Glenn Close and Amy Adams are the star. They're amazing.
Okay.
We're shooting. Maybe we might be shooting that movie, part of the pickup in that movie when you're shooting your scene.
Okay. So what made you and Ron come together to be partners for Imagine?
I just energetically liked him. I mean, he was an actor on Happy Days. He was one of the stars of Happy Days.
Right.
Richie Cunningham.
Yeah.
And
Richie hates to be called, by the way.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
He's also Opie.
He was.
He's also Opie from Andy Griffith Show.
That's right. There you go. And so I just met him when I was a young producer at Paramount, and I yelled out my window, Ron Howard, hey. And then that scared him. He didn't like some stranger yelling out the window, third floor. And then I called and said, no, come on, I was the guy that was yelling out the window. I'm a producer on the lot. You're a young guy. We're two young guys. Let's meet. And we did, and he came into my office, and he had this kind of glow about him energetically that really attracted me. So I immediately, in the same way, similarly, the way I said yes to Spike Lee,
Right.
I was really touched by this glow, the thing about Ron.
It's amazing.
So your ability to recognize exceptional talent without any example is impeccable.
That's funny.
like you could just
sort of,
you don't have to read a script. You don't have to see a. You know what I mean? You don't have to see them act out a scene.
That's
you don't have
funny.
to hear them play a song. You just see somebody and can read their aura.
largely. Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like reading a scene helps, of course. But if somebody walks in and if they don't have anything, if they have nothing, no ingredient, nothing about them feels original to me, then no matter what they say, I'm not particularly interested.
Or who they are. You don't get a vibe.
They have to have something that's feels like it's part of their singular voice. It can be an article of clothing. Then I would ask, what made you get that thing, or whatever. Or it's their sound, or the cadence in which they talk.
Okay.
A lot of these different. I'm not quite a physiognomist, but all these things kind of matter. They signal: is that person connecting to the source?
Disbursements of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because I just think that anything good comes from somebody reaching into some inner truth that is so deep that they almost can't even articulate it, but you see it.
Got you.
If you're looking.
Got you.
And I'm looking.
Now,
Yeah.
last question. The most important piece Brian Grazer has done.
Well, the most important, probably A Beautiful Mind would be. I mean, there's other movies or shows that I like a lot.
Your answer.
Well, I loved the.
It's his.
I love I mean, I love the immediate impact that Empire had.
Right.
Like first episode,
Lightning in a bottle.
It was because nobody wanted it. It was a sheer underdog thing. One network turned us down to the point I felt so shamed. I was really like angry. I was in the elevator, like.
Who turns down Brian Grazer?
People.
People.
Do they, though?
Oh, sure. Just the nature of it. I mean, look, I learned that it was the nature of it when I had Splash that was a huge success.
Okay.
And then I thought, wow, I've made it. I'm immortal.
Right.
Then I turn around and, like, I see E.T., Steven Spielberg's E.T. is being put into turnaround. And that's after he directed Jaws and Close Encounters and I think Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
So they're turning him down. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So you just have to believe. Always continue to inform yourself. Don't be a dilettante. Always don't just rely upon instincts. They have to be informed instincts.
That makes sense.
And then stick with it, because nobody knows anything.
Yeah, everybody waking up every day figuring this shit out.
And sometimes you're trying. When you talk about a story, the thing that really matters, you might not have the ability to communicate, but it's there.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So you could make them like my first movie, Splash, was about love.
Okay.
Like how disabled we are when we can't find it.
Right.
That's sort of what it was. Anyway, I cut you off.
Not at all, man. Hey, listen.
You're very funny too. I didn't.
It's kind of a comedy.
funny, haha. Listen, I really truly appreciate you for coming and sharing your time. Yeah, I know you have 195 Emmys, so you have tons of shit to do. But I thank you for coming and imparting your wisdom and sharing your experiences with the generation. I think a lot of young storytellers and filmmakers would really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you've done to celebrate our culture, tell our stories, and continue to create opportunities for those of us who might not get as much consideration as we deserve.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Now,
Yeah. Yes.
Here at Expeditiously, we have what we call a tradition. The tradition is the word of the week. Now, the word of the week is usually a word that I select based on the conversation or what I know, think, or believe of the guest. So I handpicked this word for you. This word that I chose for Brian Grazer is altruism.
Wow.
Altruism is the belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. And I think that that's what you have shown a high level of, at least visibly, as far as I can see, for as long as I've known you, and as far as what your track record represents. Now, what we're going to do here, we're going to use it in a sentence. We're going to use it in a sentence so people can go back to school, back to work, you know what I'm saying, stand around the water cooler, use the word, throw it around like they've known it their whole lives, giving me nor you no credit. But that's okay. So that's the expeditiously way. Let's see here. Unlike many of his counterparts, Brian Grazer has attacked Hollywood and remained successful using a high level of altruism.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Well, man, you know, man, we try to make the guests happy here. You know? Keep you coming back. But again, thank you so much for all you've done.
Wow,
I appreciate
you're welcome.
you. Thank you. Mr. Brian Grazer, everybody. This has been Expeditiously. Watch your favorite episodes of Expeditiously right now on the Expeditiously YouTube page.